you live. This song came on while I was just reading, and it made me want to be with you. Because my heart just felt so wow. And you're already there. So I was like, oh, well, let's do it together. And then we'll talk. Like, hang out. Because the world's in isolation. Whatever that means. If you didn't believe in instant manifestation before, you gotta believe it now. It's like, it's basically everyone's just doing what we're doing. If that's the case, we can have some fun with that. You wrote the song. I'm just singing it to you. I know I have the same last dream again, one where I wake up and I'm alive, just as though the walls close me within. Arms are opening up in the pure sunlight. I'm the first to know my dearest friend. Even when your hope is worn with time, everything that touch should be regrown in the fishes and the morning sun. Here I am, hearing your voice waiting to begin. Everything love it will be shown. You take every single tree for the sky. If you're gonna fall, I'll let you know that I will pick you up like euphoria. I felt this thing I can't replace, and everyone working for God. The children laughing at a trace, only to come back. The spirits go up to reside this song right now. Here we go. Life is waiting to begin tonight. Hello, here I am. And here we go. Life's waiting to begin tonight. Hello, here I am. Here we go. Life's waiting. And I can't breathe unless you do this with me. I can't live, I can't breathe unless you do this with me. I can't live, I can't breathe. I can't live, I can't breathe on your doing less worth me alone. Here I am, and here we go. Life's waiting till begin. Hello, here I am. Here we go. Life waiting to begin. Life's waiting till. So pretty. It's called The Adventure. It sounds like Blink-182 because it's one of them. But what's the band called? The Adventure by. It's like a pretty everything. Angels and Airwaves. Hey, Katie! Angels and Airwaves. If you don't put it. It's like waking up or evolving, becoming more aware is basically just accepting that the script divinely is just actually that funny and cute and cheesy and real. Because like, what else? Like, how could, like, the only way to sleep is to deny. If we already knew everything, we'd mistake our thinking for knowing that we think everything. See what I did there? You gave me this, and you're making me give. If it wasn't Bush, I probably would have paused it. This one's called Mouth. Love Bush though. Real silver grin, still taken. You have some shame, some shame. Where did I hear this song? It reminds me of Werewolf. It's like an American Werewolf in Paris. Days. There's everything about it. Remembering, it's like we're waking up to all that we are. That's a kind of remembering. Broken me. Now your metal armor drags me down. We can't breathe when you come around. Oh, your metal armor drags me down, but nothing hurts like your mouth. Your mouth. I'll turn it down because like now it'll just be that background music, unless like something else comes on that's like ridiculously pretty. But gosh, let's talk about this craziness. We've been missing long before. I never found a way. It's like, that's really bright, but I'm wearing sunglasses, so it kind of makes sense. It's not sunglasses. I live to experiment. So what, they used to be sunglasses, and then they kind of snapped because they're a cheap pair and I lived them. So what I've put them in, be like what I put sunshine, broken brain. Sorry, I had to do that. No, your mental armor, it drags me down, and we can't breathe when you come around. Nothing hurts quite like your mouth. There are 3D glasses, like from the movie. So, but I took them out and I switched them because I live to experiment. All your mental armor. And the way that the new 3D glasses work, as opposed to like the blue and red ones, is it's by polarization. Like when you think about polarized sunglasses and not polarized sunglasses, that's a good way to start. Your mouth. Hi, my name is Elliot, and if like we ever hang out just like this, know that this is exactly how we'll be. Like, we'll be talking. And if the music's on, which it probably will be. Well, I don't know. Maybe it will be. Maybe it won't. Like, I will be talking and then be like, why? We're just going to sing, like, mid sentence. See, like, what's this next song? It's called by Alexis on Fire. And it's called This Could Be Anywhere. Because this city. It's really screamy, though. And I don't know how that'll translate over, like, the streets are in distress. The sun suffocates beyond darkened sky. The lineup seems endless underneath the salvation sign. That's part of actually what inspired me to want to chat with you guys, because isolate, quarantine, I just don't abide things that don't make sense. And the world has been very much that. So it only really hit me today, like the breadth of this Corona COVID 19 social shenanigans. Every step I take. I went to the grocery store, one that was open. It's me and my family, we call it the Chinese groceries because it's called like Hong Tai or something like that. But before it was Hong Tai, it was another grocery store with a Chinese name that we called the Chinese groceries. And we're Guyanese, so it's like Guyanese Chinese. It's all good. And I had to line up standing a meter away from the other people in line because they were maintaining like a certain amount of people in the place. I was like, this is ridiculous. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Wasn't it like 5 minutes ago that this thing didn't exist? When they say things like time is speeding up, that can mean a lot of things. And one of the ways that it manifests most mundanely, which is to say unconsciously, is still phase. It's like a function of a dying, decaying, like social organization, i.e., the money market system, the economy, as it is. So, the city is haunted. Because from start to finish, if you keep commodifying everything, we run out of things to commodify. When we only keep commodifying everything because we need to make money, and we only need to make money because there's never enough money. There's never enough money because our money is based on a unit that inflates and owes, like debits, interest that equates to an amount larger than the supply can ever be. So because every dollar that's invented is owed back to the institution that created it with interest, the first dollar is owed back, not as a dollar, as $1.15. But where did that 15 come from? Nowhere. So what can we give instead? Collateral. What's collateral? Real things like the commons, like water, like grass, like land. like things that we can't own. But because we owe what we don't own, we cross lines that we shouldn't have crossed to pay what's underneath the line of how long must you wait for it? How long must you pay for it? Which is like albeit a clever, like a clever manipulation gone fucking bonkers. It's like some group of thinkers. It's like, wow, if we can make this work, we'll control everything. And then it got out of hand because whoever was benefiting died, despite their attempts at immortality. Because everyone dies. Because eventually everybody wants to. And that's a lovely thing. Life is death. Like that's the mutual gift. Death is the invention that created life. Yeah, how long must you wait? Or how long must you pay for it? Yeah, how long must you wait for what is it? So, flash forward to COVID-19, 2020. From start to finish, it's like put out a news story, institution, the public health institutions, the governmental institutions, the all the things that go off and on, and like as in open and close, and then bursaries, and because the governments now, it's like we're not reaping anything, but then we're also with it, like the Canadian government is essentially making up money to account for like wages loss and everything, right? But everything it's doing, it's like, what? Why weren't you doing that before? Why are you waiting for a tragedy to be like, oh, let's just do things that make more sense? Like, it's like if you're on unemployment, don't worry about it. You don't have to come in. Like we'll just you won't have to wait. We've got all your information. We're gonna do it right away. It's like, so what the fuck were you doing before? We were commodifying because people need jobs, so we were busying them. But now they're isolated, so we can just skip all that shit and pay. Speaking of unemployed, hi. Although I've never jived with employment. I've been self-employed all my life, even when I was working for others. But like officially, I've been self-employed for the last 10 years, at least. My last job was as a flight attendant. My mom just got laid off over the phone Monday, if today's Friday. So now, and like a week before all this COVID thing, I'm on social assistance, and for the third time, I've been like audited and cut off from it for no good reason. Right? It's so transparent. The inhumane, like cogs and wheels. Bag me another one of those rockin' beats. because I say it's transparent, like the cogs of the machine, because occasionally you glimpse the humanity in it, usually in the form of yourself and how it's like made to make you feel, and projected and reflected by whoever's manning the station. For instance, I love this part. We're about ready to rock steady. We're about ready to rock steady. Before. Bag me another one of those block rockin' pizza. Pizza, bag me another one of those block rockin' beats. I'm going to give you an example of the person who's in charge of auditing. Like, that's his role in the office. He's like auditing accounts. And like, I'm not the most organized person in the world with the bureaucracy. I have suffered deeply from what people call ADHD, which is really just a label, like autism. It's like, hi, I'm on the human spectrum. And like, in healing brain damage and nervous system damage and heart, like emotional damage, part of all that is recognizing the hurt, the wounds, the scar tissue, the repercussions, and accepting that, you know what, the world that thinks of itself as the world is not thinking. The mob mentality is not self-aware. So I can't use words like brain damage without bringing up conditions like lobotomy or drool running down my face. But when I express difficulties with what seems like simple tasks to some people, like internet / mail correspondence, like scheduling, planning, all that organization, responding to things. Like, if and I've like healed much, but part of that is like learning strategies and whatever. Pardon me, I'm going to just give some privacy. Hi, I'm working, just so you know. Where was I? Thank you. Like, if I don't reply to something right away, but I've replied to it in my mind, it's gone. Until it like kicks me back, it boomerangs, and it's like, you're to respond to that thing. You're like, oh no, I did in my mind. And the consequence of my not responding isn't the topic, because the way that I replied was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm just going to do a thing, or it doesn't need to be responded to like an act. Like, I've responded to it. If that thought was to reply, it would have been replied to. But the courtesy of like telling someone something that they would otherwise find out if they just chilled, and like let it happen. Like I'm not good at all that shit. It's like, oh, it's like a personality disorder. Yeah, but what the fuck is a personality? It's like, no, you're just lazy. You're just this, you're just that. When, like, if I just feel like not doing that, why does that make me a worse person or anyone a worse person than somebody that feels like responding to it? Aren't we both responding to our feelings and following through with what feels good to us? Now, of course, the resentment / judgment from the feeling, like the social conditioned feeling of responding and being a good person, but people hate doing that shit. I've been projected all kinds of hate because they're like, well, fuck, I don't want to do it. You think I want to do it? You got to do it. It's like, okay, cool. But you know that like thing that you can do where you make yourself? I can't do that. Do you know what it's like to be paralyzed in your body? Do you know what it feels like to not be able to do what you're actively telling yourself to do? And then growing up, conditioning yourself to give yourself excuses. I'm digressing, but I'm also building the like social paradigm framework that is collapsing on itself. Because I stood in line to go to the grocery store today. And like, it's the 28th, not even a month ago. Because I didn't get my benefit at the beginning of the month. And I didn't do anything about it. Like, and I got like something in the mail. I'm just giving you, because I told you about like my nervous system. I got something in the mail the middle of February saying that basically that I wasn't going to get my benefit, but not certainly. It was ambiguous. I'm like, fuck ambiguous. Let's see what happens. Roll the dice. And also, it's going to take me that long to do something about it. So 2 weeks later, I didn't get my money. It's like, cool, I have $0, but that's my life. I insist on receiving all that I need from the real and healing any erroneous maps of thinking and belief that has me pull / draw from facsimiles of divinity, like money, like spiritless, soulless, corporate entities that do not exist in time. And refuse to die, so they live these things, these belief, these empty shell belief structures subsist on the life force. It's all in my hands, on your end. It's all in my, it's on my hand. It's only you and me. And wherever you go, I will be. So when I can't have what I want because I don't have enough money, I demand from the truth of my being to see how it's not limited by that false construct, but instead a limiting perceptive belief, ask. It's like I'm speaking the wrong language to the sun. Speaking the wrong language to the sun, what are you talking about? The flowers speak the right language to the sun. The trees speak the right language to the sun, and the sun gives them their life force energy. And we've been trained to speak gobbledygook to the sun. So the sun's like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. And we're like, oh. So we just eat our own shit. Because if the sun's not giving us our energy, everything else is someone else's shit. That was pretty crass / crude. I love you for being patient with me. So, in being very, I was born in 30 weeks instead of 40. 38 to 42, that's like human term, 3 trimesters. I had a great conversation with a brilliant yoga teacher friend after class one day recently, and she talked about the 4th trimester. Like all humans go through a 4th trimester. It's spent outside the womb. So I was born at the beginning of the I don't want to think about it. Just at 30 weeks instead of 40. As a result of that, biologically, my nervous system was like twisted and turned, but it manifests with my ability to get along more or less. I'm really good at some things. I'm really bad at some things. And we were born into a system of generation that does not recognize humanity, and what it calls uniqueness is actually homogeneity. It's like, you're special, you're gifted, you go to the gifted class. You're gifted and special when you fall under these parameters. If you don't fall under these parameters, you don't achieve these results, then you're clearly not special. But everyone's special. Yeah, everyone's special. But there's like special and there's like special. So what the fuck are you talking about? You don't get away with just saying everyone's special without following through with the like effort that comes with asserting that value. That reminds me of back to the bureaucracy and the like social assistance office and just people that work for the government. They get to go home or like occasionally be told, it's like, the work that you do is good. You're helping people. I'm thinking of at least the people in this office. But then when it comes to the ways that they don't help us, it's like, oh, but it's not us, it's the government. We don't get to pick and choose. We don't get to pick and choose who we are. We don't get to choose who we are by what we say and not what is reflected by our actions. We don't get to choose who we are any more than you can't tell someone this is me. I love Tupac. I think he's a rad guy, but Biggie is my rhyme. So this auditor is doing the good thing, because I haven't filed my taxes in like a few years. I literally mean 3 or 4. That's what I always mean when I say a few. If I meant 2, I would say a couple. If I meant 5, I would say many. But a few is always 3 or 4. Why am I just trying to live if I'm just living to die? I'm dying to live. I'm just trying to live, but no one gives me a try. Why am I dying to live? I'm just living to die. I love Tupac, but there's no but, really. We just come from different places. East side, west side, what up? So the reason that I'm not getting the social assistance that I deserve, like tangent, no, Canada, you not get a thumbs up for delivering social assistance for something that, like, that's actually, everyone deserves exactly at least what they need. So no, it's not. It's like you don't get to give that and take that. That's the least of what any kind of governing body should be doing. And if I can't qualify with my truth, then the system is not corrupt, decrepit. So because I haven't filed my taxes, my SIN number doesn't have information about whether I'm working or not. Now I've given them all my information, like my banking stuff. I'm like, yo, I got no money. Here, let me show you. Because they don't want to be helping me if I'm helping myself. It's like, yeah, no, I'm making mad dough. And I also want you to give me the $700 a month because that's how I make all my dough. But they're not, they don't care. Like, it's not about what I might be making in cash. It's like, if I'm making money registered to my SIN and getting assistance, they can't have that. I'm like, okay, cool, I get that, but I'm not. So can you just give me my benefit while we figure this out? No. Because, like, stuck in the unsaid is like the statutory obligation of a Canadian citizen to file their taxes. And I just can't look, it's killing me and taking control. I'm giving myself the second verse because I was like, I'll just sing the whole song if I do it. I love this song. It reminds me of working as a salesperson for like a brokerage. I was selling Sprint Canada plans to business. I didn't fucking sell one. I hated that fucking job. It's like, if you wanted it, wouldn't you get it? I don't know why I'm walking through your door and try and convince you something for my own livelihood. I'm crawling out of my cage, I'm doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. Started out with the gun, and then I end up like this. It was only a guess, it was only a guess. Now I'm falling asleep. She's calling the cab, having a smoking dragon. Bad, and my stomach is all in your. Taking on your, let me go, let me go, 'cause I just can't look, it's killing me and taking control, jealousy. Turning sails into the sea, swimming through, sang lullabies, choking on your alibis, but it's just the price I pay. Destiny is calling me, open up my eager eyes, I'm Mr. Bright Side. And I never, where were we? A song called Finding Out True Love is Blind. Hey, chocolate girl. So I spoke very sternly to this man, and I love speaking with wrath, especially as I've grown to control myself in that state. Because part of like my tweakage is like, I don't give a shit about shit that doesn't matter, but my threshold for shit that does, that's like wrong and unjust, it's like, yo, no, looking like something I want. Talking about chocolate girl, finding out true love is blind. And then, so speaking to him sternly, because as a cog, I can project what's happening to me onto his position, which he's used to, which it was my opportunity as a loving person that has learned in like spiritual, like humanitarianism, to recognize that projection, retract it, but maintain truth of self and other in relationship. Be like, yo, just so you know, I'm not angry. And I don't like change my tone of voice like too quickly, like I'm playing. It's like, I was just playing, I'm just angry. No, I'm like, this is the same tone of voice, but I'm not angry. But you're inciting seriousness in me. This is my livelihood. And though you may be a cog, there's a human there. And if you weren't the human that this seriousness is due, then I wouldn't be speaking to you like this. But this is you. This is the person that wakes up and goes to sleep every day, more or less. This is the choice that you make, that you can't hide behind your rules, because you have a choice. You can choose what to make of this. You may have your bureaucratic guidelines. But if you had no choice, you would have no choice. And we would not be talking about the choice that's being made. We certainly wouldn't be talking about the choices that you're enforcing upon me. Wind me up and make me crawl to you. Tie me up and make me call to you. Wind you up and make you crawl to me. Tie you up until you call to me. So, to make a point, because I have to intuit you're part of the conversation, because conversations don't go anywhere except where they are here. It's just weird to have them recorded, but it's nice because if you can't tolerate having a conversation with me, you don't watch my videos. Like, I'm not on display here. I'm connecting with friends and lovers. Burning out just like a match. Okay, we gotta do this one a little bit. My Chemical Romance, obviously. And what's the worst you take from every heart you break? And like a blade you stain, 'cause I'll be holding on tonight. What's the worst that I can say? Things are better if I stay so long, and good night, so long and good. Yeah, my time. When every storm long brought too many tears, and we are the very hurt you so. And what's the worst you take from every heart you break? Like a blade you sting, I'll be holding on tonight. What's the worst that I could say? Things better never say so long, and goodnight so long, and goodnight. And if you carry on this way, things are better realize days so long, and good night. Can you hear me? Let me return to meet again when we begin, when both our cars collide. What I say? I'm still here. That was pretty cool timing, though, right? You home, it's only joyfully, playfully, watching me. Okay, let's get like serious talk, real talk. Yeah, serious talk, real talk. After this line, because I love it. Good morning. Yeah. Scooter. It's the logical song. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, more. I can count. 1, 2, 3 more. What's counting for? Let's use this actually as a great example of the silliness that is social conditioning that affects your neurology and how you think. Linearity, sequence, what doesn't need to make sense, but what is enforced to make sense. So anything outside of that conflicts, creates dissonance, not with your truth, not with like how you are made up in the cosmos as an aspect of reality, but in the paradigm that you are also divinely born into as perfectly belonging. Hence the shift and the change. 1 + 1 = 2. No, it doesn't. Right? 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals a 1 and a 1. Now that can be 11 because that's how we write it. But 1 and a 1 isn't 2. Like, think of anything that is a 2. Something that you might think of as a pair, but you wouldn't think of as half of the pair. And then try not to personify it. Let's like stay abstract. So this pair, a 2, if split, isn't also a 1 and a 1. No, it stops being a 2. So the 1 and the 1 isn't 2. 1 + 1 = 2, but 2 comes after 1. And why should 1 plus another 1 equal not itself, but something that comes after it in a set? Right? Like, just because, like, if I'm Elliot, if I add Elliot to Elliot, why would that equal what Elliot becomes? Right? So a relationship with numbers, abstracted so simply in our world, equals time, identity. What else is there? Goal orientation. It's made to equal life, but it's all only in one perspective. 1 - 1 = 0. Well, let's leave 0 alone, because that was only invented more recently, supposedly. But when you are a single-celled organism, becoming a multi-celled organism, becoming a fetus, becoming a baby, there's a process in time. And just see how I express that process as a numbering, a single, a multi, something that gets added on. But that's not the process. That's one way of looking at it. But you could also, if allowed, view it as a reduction. A reduction? What's getting smaller? Your non-corporeal self and your awareness / inness of that. Well, now you're just talking gobbledygook. Actually, no, I'm really not. I refuse to speak about things that I don't know or understand or haven't experienced. You can't experience. I can't even finish that sentence. I don't even know how I would fake it. Yeah. It's like it's like seems so stupid / silly to even say it's like self-evident, but I remember when it wasn't. We have non-physical bodies. Skepticism. I read something recently that I liked that framed this quite neatly, because I've always considered myself a skeptic, but I have always believed in quite outrageous things. And so what I read talked about true skepticism and basically bigots. It didn't say that. But most people that call themselves skeptics aren't skeptics. They're skeptics in capital letters, like a legal entity. Or skeptics and quotation as part of a group of accepted. It's like, I identify skeptic. Yeah. I like to think of atheists and scientists in this category because they make it into a box as opposed to an attitude. A true skeptic by virtue of itself is open at any moment in face of its own experience to change, like, irrevocably, its opinion on anything completely. Like, it's not attached. A true skeptic isn't attached to ideas. It questions, doubts even, but within reason. And within reason, something that is held steadfast in one moment when, like, evidenced as otherwise, it's not even a change from steadfastness. It's like night and day. It's still whatever night and day are a part of, right? It's one. It's still the same. It's still a concept. Let's talk about quotation skeptic. Oh, yeah. Aliens aren't real. There's nothing after death. There's no God. I can't. If I can't see it, then if it can't be measured, it's like, okay, well, when you close your eyes and you imagine, can you see something? Yes, but that's not what I mean. Okay. By measure, what do you mean by measure? Like a quantity? It needs to be contained. It needs to be able to be added to or taken away from. And what is the ruler? Because all of those are things that you invent. And if it's not you inventing it, then someone else has invented it. Is it something that needs to be agreed upon by everyone? But for every color, no eye sees it the same. We're all interpreting our experience differently. A non-believer just won't believe. I thought of this earlier today. Like, what if everyone in the world was blind? And then someone could see. And this one person that could see spoke true things about what they were seeing. Now, they were speaking about the things that the blind could relate to. And I'm not talking about the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. It's like, you didn't think of that earlier today. Like, that's a thing. No, I thought of it. I thought of it like trying to analogy the world right now. Because like, it's cool to isolate right now. Like, it's cool to be like, oh, I'm in the know. There's this very serious thing going on in the world and I'm acting responsibly, or I'm snubbing it. But, like, I'm participating and not questioning. I don't know a lot of people, but I still don't know anybody that has that's suffering from this outbreak. Not like SARS or swine flu, for instance, where it's like, yeah, okay, no, some people are were really sick. So people are getting sick, Elliot. People are dying. Yeah, but put fluoride in the water. Not everywhere is going to put fluoride in their water. Fluoride in the water is going to cause a lot of fucking problems. And then there's an environmental expression, nature, that expresses itself like fluoride. And for everyone that has fluoride in the water and not developed some kind of disease or seventh toe or triple lip from it, they're okay. But those that haven't been inoculated from the fluoride or the fluoride-like experience, they suffer deeply. It doesn't need to kill them, because nothing can kill you if you're strong. But if you're not strong and you're not trying to live, it kills you. Now, people that haven't really had fluoridated water are all over the world. There's some bigger countries and histories, but for something like that, it's a little bit everywhere. And this environmental expression, it's being swept in the wind. It's basically like an allergy. Now, is it contagious? What is contagious? Can you catch it from another person? Well, yes and no. If I if I'm allergic to ragweed and I have ragweed like on my jacket, I'm suffering from it. And then I go to your house and I sneeze ragweed because you wouldn't let me bring my jacket in. But it's inside me. And now you've got my ragweed because I was hanging out with the ragweed. Is that contagious? If I sneeze and it's in my germs, but it's also in the air, is it contagious? And then for all the people that have been suffering from fluoridated related diseases, and they like all the time, all of their instances are now being classified as an aspect of this viral outbreak. Well, it's really not, because the outbreak is really not. But if you die from flu-like symptoms, you better believe it's going to be like COVID-19. If you die from pneumonia these days, you didn't die from pneumonia. You got COVID. All those, we're not really sure what happened. We can't really be sure